Hello everyone. In today's session, we will try to cover a form. We'll start with the user interface element, and previously we have covered the menus and submenus, and then menu references. And we will start with a parameter form basically. And you must have seen in each of the module that there is a parameter form where all the settings like in terms of checkboxes or lookups or any other fields are visible, which basically drive a module if you want to enable disable certain feature in the module. So the parameter form is the best place to place the checkboxes, or if you want to enable, so you will just check that checkbox and uncheck if it is not enabled. And there are certain default settings which you would like to be selected in the parameter form. And then whenever you will start with creating just like main table or main record, so the value will be defaulted or copied from the parameter form. So basically parameter form shows settings grouped into field groups, and also the tabs basically, and those will be using table of contents style form. So basically they are also used to show number sequences that have been set up for that module. And that will cover number sequence will also be covered in future videos definitely, along with also form logic and other business logic. And so we'll just be following the resort management example in this video also. So basically I will just right click on the project and go to the add and add a new item, and then I can go to the user interface group, and then I have a selection of form here. So just let me give it a name like PKR resort parameters. So this will be the name of the form, the resort parameter form. And the table we have already created. And if you remember that in the table there was a table group field where we need to select the parameter in case of parameter form. So now the form is in front of us. So there is so the form designer is in front of us. So what we'll do is we can see here on the left hand side pane there is a node at the top. If you see in AX 2012, the methods and data sources are available, and the remaining design part is on the right hand side, and then a preview will be at the bottom. So what we'll do right now, there are no data sources. Basically data sources for the new developers, the data sources are basically tables, or it can be views, so that can be used in the form. So basically these are nothing, just a query type of when you drag and drop tables, you can make them as a query, and that will serve as to show the data or in front of the form. So basically I will just drag the resort parameter table to the data source node just like this. And this is similar to the query when I was making query. If you have noticed that it was just drag and drop. So once I drag and drop, so all the fields and methods is not available. Definitely data source methods you can define also, although there may be a table level method as well, but on the data source level this is another level or scope when you can define also the methods on data source level. So once I drag and drop on the data source, so then I can set certain properties for the data source, and that are very useful. So basically those are allow create, and allow create is in order to create a record which is enabled by default. So we don't want these properties or the records to be created in this way. So just be, because in the parameter only one record will exist, that is already implemented logic. You can consult the previous videos when I created the parameter table. Logic was there, and there will be only a single record existing there. So I will just turn allow create to no in order to restrict any creation of record through form. So then allow delete also no, and then insert at the end. And you can see the tip here specifies whether to automatically create a new record when the user moves focus past the last record on the table. Since there are no multi-record on this form, so this need to be also no. And insert if empty. That you will see whenever you will focus to the next row, automatically a blank record is inserted. So that will not be case in case of a parameter form. So I will turn these properties as no. So then on the left hand side, you can already see that the form pane is there, the design pane, and the preview pattern at the bottom. So these are three panes available, three areas available. And now what we can do is we can select the design node here on the right hand side, design pane. And then you can see there are certain properties on the right hand side in the property panel or pane. In the property there we need to just give a label. So for that label we'll just need to create a label there. Before that we can also go to the data source property here, and we can select a data source which is only a resort parameter which we have drag and drop. So that will so this will be a default data source for child nodes on the form whenever we create. So the default data source will be the resort parameter here. So then there is a title data source property here that I will also select a resort parameter. So this will be used for the title field properties from the table and display them on the form. So if you remember, we have already selected the title field properties on the table level. So automatically those will be used on the form level as well. So now we'll need to just create a label. For the label, we'll just open the label file where it is. It will take a while to open. So I will just create a label with the resort management parameters. Same I will copy to the label ID. Okay, and I will copy the label ID, save it, and go to the parameter. In the design, the caption property, here I will place the label. So that is also appearing in preview if you notice at the bottom. Now on the design you can see the pattern is showing unspecified. So that need to be we must specify the pattern and to apply it we just need to right click over the design node and go to the apply pattern, and here we can select the table of contents pattern for the parameter form. So we'll just apply it, and you can see at the bottom preview the pattern tab that the pattern of table of contents is applied, and that has turned to the pattern node. And the preview node you can also go and you can see the pattern node as well. So now this allows us to basically add a tab control. So we can just right click on the design node, and there go to the new, and in the new we can now see tab. So after adding the new tab page, we need to just rename this and rename it to, for example, parameter tab. Now inside the tab we can add pages. So just add a new page here, and so normally usually the first tab must be journal tab. So just rename this journal tab page, and then we need to just put a caption for the tab page. Just search here journal, match exactly, and find it. Try to find any sys label if it is available. For example, this would be good. So the sys label will be selected here in the caption property. So that while we will be editing our the design here on the right hand side pane, so at the bottom preview, it will be checking, the designer basically will be checking if we are uh, conforming the pattern, or we are abiding the rules of that pattern, which is table of contents in this case, and if there is something missing, so it will show in the preview tab. As in our case, it is showing TOC page title group is missing, and then tab group is also missing, so that need to be also fixed. So here basically we need to add two group controls, basically one for title fields that will provide basically help to the user, and another for the fields we wish to show on the page. So we can just right click on journal tab page, and then we can go to the new and add a group here. So when we have added a group, we need to rename this group to be general title group. All controls must be unique and named in a way that helps us to navigate to the control easily. Uh, the pattern also suggests, now we have added this group, so now first the second one is now gone, second conformance issue is now gone, and now it is showing only first. For that we need to add a static text. For that, we what we can do is go to the journal title group here, and go to the new and go to the static text, and then rename the static text to be journal title text. So after this we need to create a new label for the text journal parameters and enter ID into text property. Where is our text property? On the right hand side you can see here there is a text property. Just go there and again use the journal sys label here. Okay, after we have created a text label, we have already used the existing labels here, existing label for the journal text, and now we need to reselect the journal title group, and if we need to check whether any issues are still there, but it is not, so it means those are now fixed. And we can now go to the journal tab page, and we can see there is still one issue here. tab group missing, so we need to fix this. So what we can do is we need to add a new group control here. So basically in that tab page there is this group, and that so on the tab page it is showing that the group is missing. What we can do is we can add a new group control here. So we can just right click new and go to the group. So once the group is there, so you can see in the tab page the error has gone. So in the now group control we can just rename this to general fields, and the new group must also have a pattern applied to it. So what we can do is right click it and apply pattern, and in the apply pattern we can go to fields and field groups pattern. So this will be applied immediately, and now we can expand the data source on the form pane, and then we can go to the field groups in that, and in the field group we can see there is a defaults field group which we have created in previous training session. So what we can do is we can drag this default into the journal field group which we have created on the form level. So this is just a drag and drop as you have seen now, and we can also manually create group, but that will additionally need to add the appropriate fields, and so basically the field group will contain the new fields that are added to the group and will be automatically added to the form, and the label property will also be set up on the field group label. So now we can check each of the nodes here on the right hand side if there is any conformance issue. So we need to we must fix those issues if there is. So it does not look that any of the issue is still there. So all the issues have been already fixed. So finally what we need to do is uh, we need to complete an special task for parameter forms, basically. That is to ensure that at least one record exists. For this we need to click on the forms methods node and choose override init. So basically go on the left hand side and right click and go to the override and go to the init or initialize method. It is here. So basically now you can see I will remove the documentation here, and there is a super call which will basically call the method on the parent class. Before that, before super, a blank line I have inserted, and what I can do is I can call the parameters static method find, where we have already implemented the logic. So what we can do is go to the definition. It will open the definition, and you can see here that the logic is already implemented in order to create the parameter here. So if there is a select query, if the select query does not return any record, that means the rec id is 0. So that in case, then it will go to, there will be a second condition also checked if param table is not temporary, means a regular table. In our case it is regular definitely. So then it will go to the, this is static method in the company class, and it will pass the param table and it will create the parameters for us. We can also go to the basic create parameter table, and we can see the implementation here. So that is how within the find method we have already covered to create a unique record if it does not exist already, so it will create a record here. So basically that will be a simple call to the method, and we can also check the class behind it, that is with a decorator of form and resort parameter, which extend basically form run class, the parent class. Form run is extended by this resort parameter, which is basically a helper class for the form. So all the methods will be there in this class, which will be supporting to the form's behavior. So now what we can do is we'll just create the menu item for this form, and for the new developers this is very important. What are the menu items basically? So menu items are just references to the objects in AOT which we wish to add to a menu or inside a form. So we can have three kinds of menu items, which are basically display, output, and action menu item. Display basically are normally used for forms, output normally are used for reports, and actions are for classes. So these are different kinds of menu items, and these are just links or linkers or pointers to open those objects. So those also are part of a security system in D365. When you will add the menu items to the privileges in the security system role and task security. So not all the users can be administrator. So definitely you need to assign specific roles to the users, and within the role there will be duties, and within the duties there can be privileges, and within the privileges there can be menu items, and you can then restrict the access to the menu item or the table level for read only or delete level. Delete is the max level, so that can be implemented on privilege level. So now what we can do is we'll add a display menu item. So we can again add a new item and go to the user interface. Similarly, you can see here there are action menu item for classes, display for forms, output for reports. So we'll just select a display menu item, and always remember, whenever naming the objects, those should be consistent. It should be like table and forms and menu items with the same name. So in this case, PKR resort parameters will be the menu item name as per the form name, as per the table name. So three of them will be the same. So just I have created this one on the design. You can see it, and the properties are now open. And so after giving it same name as a form, so what we can do is go to the table which we have already created. Just double click it, and you can see label property we have already set here, which is resort management parameters. So I will just reuse the same label in this display menu item. I will just drag and copy paste here, and then what we can do is for the help text label. For the help text, we need to just create a new help text for this. So for that, I can go to the label file, and I can find any existing one, resort management parameters. Basically, this one is a duplicate label which I already created, which I must have used here. So that I can also now also I can use this one, resort management parameters, instead of the new label which I created here. I will just delete it, and go to the form which I have created. So in the form design, I have put the caption here. I will just replace it with the existing one, because no need to create the duplicate labels. So just I place that one, and now I can simply delete that I already did. I deleted the duplicate label, and for the help text resort management, we can take an example, like we can go to the menu items already existing. For example, vent parameters. In the vent parameter, we can check help text. They have not given help text, so I think it is not needed. But if you want, you can give it a help text as well. So I will just skip it. So what will be the next thing? Will be uh, in order to target to an object in the menu item, I will go to the object type. Object type is already form, although there are other options available in this menu item, display menu item, and then I can just type in here pkr resort parameters, or I can also use lookup, whatever is easy for you. So once I have selected the type, which was default form, and then I have selected the object name itself, which is the form in our case, and we can now save this. Now what we can do, if you remember, in the when we created the table, there was one property which we left for the future. What was that? That was a form ref property. So whenever you open a table, basically, so it should refer to its basic form, where the table should be presented in a better way. So that is a form ref property. Just find that here, form ref, and now you can just give it name like resort parameters. So this is now form which we have created against this table, or for this table. So this is now form ref property, which we have already set, and similarly for other tables we will also set it whenever we will be creating forms for those tables. So now what we can do is, and we need to drag and drop this menu item to the menu itself which we have created. So just open the menu which we have created already, that is resort management, and go to the basically setup, and in the setup you can drag and drop the menu item from the project explorer or solution explorer, put it on the setup, and now the menu item is dropped. And you can just open the property of project, and synchronize should be turned to false, because there are no table level changes or data dictionary changes. And now what we can do is just build the project, and open the browser once again in order to see our changes. Now our build has been completed, so we can check our changes. Go to the user interface of D365, and there you can see on the right hand, on the left hand side, the under the burger menu, resort management module, and in that you can see there is a new menu already we added, but the menu item we just drag and drop for the resort management parameter form, basically. And if you click it, so it will open the table of contents pattern in the form, and that will basically contain only a single field which we have already added. So in this way, so basically we added the field group, and in that field group only there was one field resort group. which we created in our previous training videos. If you have not followed those training videos, you can follow them in sequence so that you can reach at this point. And I will again say that please follow your own scenario, so that in order to better way understand and learn the new scenarios and new systems, so that would be better. So for now we have just covered our parameter form, and the pattern of table of contents was applied in that parameter form. We also created a menu item of type display for the form, and then basically we also fixed the conformance issues in the form itself. Whatever the issues were there, we basically then added a tab, and inside tab there was a tab page, and then there was a title group, and then there was a field group to host our field group, and that field group we have added here, and that field group on the table level contained the field. So it was just a drag and drop and fix to set up certain properties on every of the node, and especially on the design node. And on the field group also we applied the pattern of fields and field groups. So that pattern is also shown, and here table of contents pattern is shown. So in this way we have covered the whole scenario. If you have any questions or any feedback, just let me know, and I will just be updating frequently the next sequences, so that you can follow and reach at the end of resort management, and at least you would learn something from out of these videos. Thank you very much, and stay tuned, and also please subscribe to the channel.